Hello, everybody. This is a little bit unusual for me. Usually, these days, when I want to do a one take, it's usually a stream and usually like about an hour long. The reason I do this is because I expect it to be much shorter video, than for a stream, and it's really not any groundbreaking idea, but I felt like I want to share this because I didn't prepare any script, or I'm not reading anything, so I'm kind of thinking as I'm talking, right? And I'm trying to think of all the video games that came out this year, because what I was about to say was I think this is probably the most AAA game of the year. I did want to say it's the best game of the year, but I mean that's super subjective type of thing. Even if thousands of people vote on it, I don't think it's very accurate to say it. I'm sure a lot of people will think Alan Wake 2 was year of the game of the year. Remedy is just Remedy. It's one of the very few companies that make AAA games that are just insane. Kind of like a Rockstar, maybe a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, I'm here to talk about Alan Wake, and specifically very fresh out of my memory because I have just finished the game, I don't know, 5 minutes ago. And I was contemplating the 5 minutes, I was contemplating the story, how it wrapped up or didn't, and mainly if I should, if I should record something and talk about it a little bit. And I decided that I want to because I think I like to give a feedback, uh, you know, not a review, but a feedback to people who are considering buying it. And especially, I think it's important to do it for Alan Wake too, because of the fact that it's on Epic Games, and I think that there's like a big, it's a big controversy. It separates a lot of people. Should I, invest in, a game that is on Epic? A lot of people hate Epic for, exactly what they're doing because they're getting the exclusive rights for games. That's a topic of its own, so I'm not gonna go into it, but that's the big reason for me to making this video today, is because a lot of people might really like Alan Wake and the idea. Maybe you played the first game like me, and you were excited just to realize that you can't play it on Steam even though you have the first game on Steam. Well, I did cave in, not because, mainly because I wanted the footage of the game on the channel. That's the main reason. I really wanted to play it for the game, but if I didn't, make videos on YouTube like this, then I think I will just wait until they have it on Steam. But here we are. So, if you're still considering it, if you don't know if you should play, there is obviously, at least, if nothing else, two sides to, buying a video game that is, story, very heavy story oriented. There's two sides of it. One side is the gameplay, and the other side is the story. For the gameplay, I will talk about that first. I will talk about the story, but not in spoiler way, so you can, comfortably watch this video without being afraid of being spoiled. I don't even think I could really spoiler anything because it's really difficult to keep track. I could probably do some very basic spoilers, but nothing comprehensive for you, because it's very confused. And as the title suggests already, it's not very finished in my opinion. That's just me. I might be 100% wrong, as a lot of you always point out. So just saying, that's probably not entirely true, but for me, I still don't really know what happened in the game. So, gameplay. Gameplay, I can say for sure, one of the things that I noticed is that this game has, borrowed a lot of inspiration from the recent Resident Evil games, or maybe Resident Evil games in general, in terms of inventory space, and I think it was unnecessary to do it this way. I can understand why they did it, and I don't think it's then like there's nothing wrong with it. I don't hate it or anything like that, but I do think they didn't have to do it because it feels like it's just unnecessary, especially if you play on easier difficulties. But I do think that if you are playing on the harder difficulties, it will be just annoying. It's not challenging. I don't know if people played, I'm sure a lot of people played Resident Evil games. In Resident Evil, the Resident Evil functions basically the same exact way as Alan Wake 2 in terms of gameplay, in terms of the inventory. Because in order for you to use certain items, for example, there is like these, I don't know what they're called, like these small items. I can't remember what they are called, but they are like something that doesn't, it's not an ammo or it's not a weapon, it's a thing. And these are like abilities that you can pick up by doing extra work around the map. And one of those abilities, for example, is that it's like a coffee mug, and if you die, instead of you dying, the mug breaks. That's the type of, and there's other ones, right? So that's one thing that takes one, you know, slot in the inventory. You have, you know, obviously limited amount of slots. If you want to pick up a new gun, you need to have some amount of slots, you know, obviously free for that gun to be received. So like I said, basically Resident Evil inventory. Now, my big problem with this is that unlike in Resident Evil, Alan Wake functions in the sense that there is most of the time there's enemies needs to be either made vulnerable by light, by bursts of light to be specific, or just stunned to be able to be killed. There's like two types of enemies in the game. There is either the one that just like is a physical person that doesn't die until you stun them, and then there are these shadow people that you can just kind of make disappear by the light, unless they are hidden actual physical people, in which case you do need to stun them. Now, why am I explaining this to you is because in order for you to be able to stun enemies with the light, with the surge, with, you know, with that type of thing, you need to press a button while, you know, you have equipped flashlight. For that burst, you are using batteries, and for the batteries to work, or for the batteries to, you know, be functional in the game, you need to have them in your inventory. You will soon understand that there's other things, by the way, that can do the burst of light. There is the flares, and, you know, there's a lot of things, but I'm just saying this will be the most basic utility thing that you have to have every time. You cannot get past levels without it, and the most basic version of it is in the flashlight, and the flashlight needs batteries. Now I will you know, repeat myself. Why you need to know this is that basically in this game you need to have both ammo for your weapons and batteries for your flashlight. You effectively need two weapons and two ammo types for the even basic fights. You don't have melee weapons, you have only like a melee that you can actually, like, with your hand. I don't know if you can kill enemies with that at all, I don't think so. But the point is, for any fight with any one mob, one individual enemy, you need one flashlight, you know, burst, which is like one battery does like 5 bursts, depends on if you're upgrading it or not. So you need at least one burst, and then you need, if you're playing the easiest difficulty, you need like one headshot. I'm assuming with difficulty that changes. So the thing is, with inventory in this game, doing this inventory, the Resident Evil type inventory, was kind of bummer, because it felt like it wasn't appropriate for how the game functions. Besides that, I think in the first Alan Wake game, you needed the batteries only if you overused the bursts, I think. I didn't play the game for a very long time, so if I'm wrong on this, again, I can be wrong. But I think that you could always burst, and the burst kind of like regenerated itself, but you had like these 5 or 4 bursts slots, and the one always regenerated back. In this game, that's not how it is. which means that you always need the batteries, you always need to look for them, which means you always need to have the spot in the inventory for it. And I get it, it's like a challenge for, you know, it's a little bit more of a, like, you need to have your inventory game on point. I get it, I get why developers do it. I just don't think, with the batteries specifically, I don't think it's good way of doing it. Other than that, weapons feel great. I think I really like the sounds, how they punch. There's, I think for each character, because you play as both Alan Wake and Saga Anderson, which is like the counterparts of the game, there's like two main characters of the game. So they both each have different weaponry. Like they both have shotguns, you know, basic pistol. Is there anything else? There is the hunting rifle, but I don't think Alan Wake has that, or I didn't find it. So, you know, there's not like a huge amount of like arsenal, but I don't think that's like needed in this kind of game. What else to say about the gameplay? I really liked, which I didn't think will happen in this game, but I'm glad it did. I found out that you actually get to play the game like you can switch between Alan and Saga a lot. On every major like save point, you can just switch realities, they call it. And I think that was pretty cool way of doing, of making the game, because when I seen the trailers, when I heard, you know, there is gonna be a new character, I immediately just thought that they would replace Alan Wake with her. That was not the case. I'm glad that I was wrong about that. There's, I don't know, the game looks insanely well. Like, I really love it. You know, if you played Control, which by the way, very closely tied in terms of lore, tied to Alan Wake 2, which is very surprising to me. If you played that game, you know, it's the same company, it's the same engine, I'm sure. The graphics are very much like that, probably even better now. My computer is pretty beefed up, to be fair, so I don't know how it looks on like the most worst basic graphic settings, but I imagine it looks still really good. You know, all these like different things. I was just surprised at how they were using, for example, the in real life acting, and you know, in the cutscenes and stuff. I think I liked it. I don't like it very often. Usually I don't. At least, like, most games don't even attempt this because it doesn't look good, it doesn't translate well. But in this game, I have to say, it did translate pretty well. I think it was a good decision. It was pretty risky, because if you look at any video game today, pretty much nobody does it in the industry. And this game kind of like showed that it's definitely not like impossible to make it look really good, like to make it actually function well. So that was like a one thing that caught me off guard, that you actually have a lot of actual like actors, not the game models, in this game, to show up for a lot of cutscenes and all these things. So that was pretty surprising. Aesthetically speaking, this game like does very well most of the things, graphically and aesthetically. I will say that I think that they were going for this very confusing kind of aesthetic in the game, and I feel like along the way they might have confused themselves a little bit with it. I don't know. I'm kind of edging into the story part of the video, so I can just go into it. The story didn't feel really finished. I mean, that's the least I can say about it. Why I say that? I can't obviously talk about the or I can. I don't want to talk about the ending. If you are curious, either, you know, you can definitely look up the ending on YouTube, I'm sure, or you can just play it yourself. The ending felt like, literally felt like they either wanted to do like this thing where they do part 1 and part 2, except this is Alan Wake 2, so I don't think that's like a thing. Maybe, but I don't think so. Maybe they are planning on explaining more things in some kind of DLC. Alan Wake 1 had almost, I don't know if it's a standalone DLC, I can't remember, but maybe they are planning doing that, I don't know. Either way, the way it ended felt like we were like at least one more chapter away from actually finishing the game, and then it ended. So that never feels good if when that happens. I will explain without spoilers what I mean. There is a certain thing that the game tells you needs to be done in order for, you know, things to end the way the main characters want them to end. And the game literally ends before we learn that. So, I mean, maybe might have missed something. Truth to be told, there is a gameplay mechanic in the game where when you play as Saga, you are an FBI agent and she's investigating shit, right? And one of the things in the game that's like pretty important part is the investigation. Like you need to actually gather evidence on your evidence board, connect the dots and stuff like that, which I actually enjoyed. I think it was a pretty cool concept. I don't think it was that like pivotal, but I did like it. I liked the idea of it. However, I had a couple of things that were not finished in the in the directory or whatever. So it might be my own fault that the game felt unfinished because I didn't finish it. I will I will confess that if that's the case, then that's my bad. Either way, at the same time, I'm not one to rush through any video game I play, especially if I want to talk about it on the internet afterwards. I did my best. I really did go through every map the best I could. If I messed up at some point, that's definitely my bad. I'm just saying that probably the difficulty was just a little bit too high for me. Maybe I'm just bad at video games, I don't know. But it's true that I didn't finish some cases that Saga had left before I finished the game. So if some of these cases were super important for me to understand the ending, then I guess I messed it up. But I tried my best, and I definitely didn't just rush through the game. So I don't think I'm entirely to blame. So anyway, the entire time it felt like it just played really well. I liked it. There's a lot of voice acting that I think is just super good. The music is like I to this day I sometimes just put it on. Like there's some songs in between the chapters of the game. They just play them just without anything. They just play them like they are like separators of each important like endings of a chapter. And there's a couple that I just play just on my own sometimes because they are really good. I even tweeted one of them, by the way. If you really want to know, go on my Twitter. There is one of them there. So from that perspective of just gameplay, sound design, all these things, really cool. I don't know what I would rate it. I definitely don't want to rate it. I'm not gonna rate it right now. I actually I'm planning on doing sort of something like that at the end of the year. It's ready. I need to finish all the games before I do it, but I will definitely sort of kind of rate it myself at the end of December, right? Just at the end of the year, I will rate every game that I played. So I will do that later, but for now, all I have to say is that I think that it's definitely good to replay the game, I think. I don't know if I will do it, probably not, because I don't enjoy games like this, where I really just want to know the story without like the gameplay part of it. I play a lot of games like that and people give me shit for it, but I bought the game fully intending to kind of watch it like a movie. I did everything I could. I didn't rush through it, like I said, but I don't want to play the game again on the ultra hard mode just to, finish it like that. I don't think I would even enjoy that. So there's a lot of different puzzles. There's a lot of different points of interest. All these things. It's kind of like semi-open world game, but not in the annoying way. Just really, really well done in that regard, and that makes for a lot of things can be missed. So I think that was kind of intentional. If you played Control, I had big problem with Control because you are entire time inside one building, and Remedy for some reason has terrible way of, because they don't want to just like hold you by your hand and tell you which door to go to, where to go, right? It's not the type of game. So if you are inside a building, I have a lot of problem with Remedy and their way of telling you where to go in a building. So in Control, I gave up on playing that game like 5 times because just I didn't know where to go. I didn't know which door to push. I just like I went through so many corridors in that game, and it was very annoying for me, which, you know, in this game happened like twice at least too. So yeah, I think that's about it. I already am like 20 minutes long. I really didn't want to go that long even. So yeah, I just wanted to share that kind of experience. Definitely worth the money, definitely worth buying it and giving it your time if that's like the kind of information you're looking for. I was just kind of taken by the fact that the way it ended felt like there's a lot of unanswered questions, and it's not like in the way like, oh, I can't wait what will happen next, but it's literally like we are missing the ending. Beside like defeating the big bad thing, there's nothing much else that we know. So in that regard, I feel like this was just not thought out the right way. One more thing before I end the video, story-wise or character-wise, you might, if you played Control, you might know about the character named Ati, which is the janitor in Control, and he's the janitor in this game too. Control and Alan Wake are connected universes, and I am a little bit surprised they just don't care to like kind of, I don't know, explain his presence or anything like that. There is, you know, the Bureau of FBC, like Federal Bureau of Control, I think it's called. So like that's, you know, the connection between the game Control and the game Alan Wake that happens in the game. So I would assume they will try to give you some kind of information about Alti because, or Ati, not Alti, Ati. And that guy is like just a big enigma to me. So I expected maybe at least something. I didn't expect focus on the character, obviously, but maybe like something like, I don't know. Again, it's possible I missed it, but I am doing my best in, especially in games like this, to just look for everything I possibly can. So I couldn't find with my best you know, my best efforts, I couldn't find anything, which is kind of sad because I honestly almost more interested in his character and what's going on with that than Alan Wake, because like I knew I will get my answers at in some level about that story, but Ati is like, you know, that's like the big question mark that I really wanted at least something about. And nothing from that department as well. So yeah, that's all from me, and I thank you if you made it this far into the video. Check out my Twitter. There's not much to be had, but I will appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.